Hi everybody. It's Martin Luther King Day, and it's another heavy one. I don't know. I feel like maybe I need to get through these because they all kind of contain stories of things I went through in my life, things that have shown up, or that the Lord has shown me. This one today is about Job. There was one time when I felt like Job. Um, Anything that could go wrong felt like it was going wrong. Um, and I was trying so hard, to follow the Lord and just really do what the Lord wanted. I was really trying. And anyway, I had this job, and there was another man there that a lot of people didn't like him because he talked about being a Christian, but he kind of acted like a bully sometimes, and he would kind of threaten people and different things. I think it was just his personality. I don't know, but people saw it as hypocritical, and then he started getting I don't even remember. I'm not going to go into everything that happened. But anyway, I ended up writing him a letter, and I put a Bible verse in it. He took that to the manager and got me fired over a Bible verse. And honestly, looking back, I think it was for the best. But I ended up without insurance. There was lies that were said about me that weren't true. And anyway, I was going to college at the time because I really wanted out of there anyway. And I was doing an internship at a law office, and I was going to the mailbox. It was just a few days after I got fired, and I tripped on the sidewalk. I fell and I broke both hands. I don't know if you can see the scars there. And these are the only bones I've ever broken, but I guess when I do it, I do it up good. So then I got, had to have emergency surgery. Then they messed it up and I had to go have more surgery. The bill was getting pretty high, and I lost good insurance. After that, about 2 weeks later was Memorial Day when my son died. And I'm just like, what's going on? I was so heartbroken over everything. And, I the book of Job really comforted me. And so that's why I want to share it. I want to share what, and I'm not going to, obviously, I'm not going to read the whole thing. So I'm just going to kind of skim through it. We can talk about it, and I can just let you know the thoughts I have about it. And you're welcome to leave thoughts of your own. But, anyway, everything ended up being okay later for me, just so you know. We did get some things taken care of, but it was a bit of a fight. And later that manager ended up getting fired. That manager got fired. The other guy was having trouble with jobs. I don't know if he got fired or he ended up leaving. And so I'm not going to call it judgment. I don't know. But anyway, they're all okay now, I'm sure. But so let's read a little bit out of Job. And there was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. Now that man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. Okay. And you're going to hear probably different words because I am using the Tree of Life version, which I just kind of like. Okay, so anyway, so Job was an upright man who loved the Lord. And one day the sons of God came to the Lord. And so I'm going to read what happens there. Then the Satan responded to Adonai, saying, Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge around him, his household, and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands and his possessions, and have increased in the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will certainly curse you to your face. Then Adonai said to Satan, everything he has is in your hand, only do not extend your hand against him. So the Satan, departed from the presence of Adonai. Okay, so after that, I'm just going to kind of paraphrase, I guess. After that, he did things, just thing after thing happened. Lost everything. He did still have his wife, which we'll read about in this next part. But he lost all his children. He lost his house. He lost all his possessions. Everything. It was all gone. It was all gone. Okay. So Job, starting in Job 2:2, Adonai. So the sons of God came again before the Lord. Adonai 2:2. Adonai said to him, where are you coming from? The Satan answered Adonai, from roaming the earth and from walking on it. Then Adonai said to the Satan, you have noticed my servant Job, for there is no one like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man who fears God and spurns evil, and he still holds firmly to his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason. The Satan replied to Adonai, saying, skin for skin, a man will give up all he has for his own life, but now stretch out your hand and strike his bone and his flesh, and he will certainly curse you to your face. Adonai said to the Satan, very well, he is in your hand, only spare his life. So the Lord let him be tested again, and the Lord does let us be tested. So I'm going to read on, and starting in verse 7. So the Satan departed from the presence of Adonai and afflicted Job with painful boils. From the sole of his foot to the top of his head, he took a piece of broken pottery to scrape himself while he was sitting among the ashes. Then his wife said to him, are you still holding firmly to your integrity? Curse God and die. He said to her, you speak as a foolish woman would speak. Should we accept the good from God and not accept the bad? Through all this, Job did not sin with his lips. So it was getting pretty hard for Job. Then it was his health. So Job starts to lament at this point, and I'm not going to read everything, and I'm not going to read a lot of this stuff, but we'll just kind of talk about what was going on. But in Job 3:11, it says, why did I not die at birth and expire as I exited the womb? So he was really just like wondering why he didn't die. You know, he was kind of cursing the day that he was born. Like, why was I even born? You know, that type of thing. So along comes Job's friends, and I don't feel good about speaking against people in churches, and I'm not going to name names, but I've had friends like this, but they look at you and what you're going through, and they tell you it's your fault. It's your fault. This happened to you. You did this to yourself. And when they, I don't know, maybe they believe it, or I don't know, but they just, all these words come spouting at you, all these religious sounding words, pouring condemnation on people when they don't even really know what happened. They didn't know about the Lord letting Satan do these things. They didn't know about any of that stuff. They didn't know it was just a test. So I'm not going to read all their stuff because it's a lot to read. but I recommend you read it. But it goes on and on and on and on about this. And Job gets frustrated, is kind of how I feel in some of the verses, where he starts, kind of crying out, like, and maybe defending himself a little bit. I don't know. But eventually, the Lord's looking down, watching all this fussing going on, all these things. And, Job never did deny him, but the Lord still he had words he wanted to speak to Job too, and he did. And I'm going to read on what happened and some of the things God said. I can't read all of them, but there's a lot of things. But I'll read a lot of these words are words the Lord spoke. And we're in chapter 38. Verse 4 says, "Where were you when I laid the foundations of earth? Tell me." In verse 8 it says, "And who shut up the sea behind doors when it burst forth from the womb? When I made a cloud its garment, and thick darkness is swaddling its swaddling cloth." In verse 39, one of the things he says, "Do you give the horse its strength? Do you clothe his neck with a mane?" And that was verse 19. Finally, the Lord goes on, and finally Job answers Adonai, and he says, "Indeed, I am unworthy. What can I reply to you? I put my hand over my mouth. I spoke once, but I have no answer. Twice, but I will say no more." So Job he feared the Lord. He didn't want to go there questioning the Lord. But then Adonai answered Job from the whirlwind, "Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you will inform me. Would you really annul my judgment? Would you condemn me to justify yourself? Do you have an arm like God's, and can you thunder with a voice like this? Then adorn yourself in majesty and dignity. Clothe yourself in splendor and honor. Scatter the fury of your anger. Look at every proud person and bring him low." And then he goes on in verse 15. He says, "Look now at Behemoth, which I made along with you. He eats grass like an ox. Now look at the strength in his loins and his power in the muscles of his belly." I mean, you just look at everything God's done. This is a little side note, which brings me to scientists and all their theories. I'm sorry, they're ridiculous. They really are. They really are. They don't understand. They can't explain it. I'm gonna kind of skip a few things, but anyway, in 42 it says Job retracts. So I'm gonna read that whole verse or whole chapter. Job answered Adonai and said, "I know you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. You ask, who is this who darkens counsel through knowledge? Surely I spoke without understanding things too wonderful for me, which I did not know. You said, hear now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you will inform me. I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes has seen you. Therefore, I despise myself and repent on dust and ashes." Okay, so the Job repents for just him thinking, whatever he was thinking he knew about the Lord. So I'm going to read some of the rest, and this is the part that really, really helped me a lot. After Adonai had spoken these words to Job, Adonai said to Eliphaz the Temanite, "My anger is kindling against you and against your two friends, because you have not spoken about me what is right, like my servant Job has. So now take yourself 7 young bulls and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job and offer a burnt offering for yourselves." my servant Job will pray for you, for I will accept Job's prayer and not deal with you according to your folly, because you have not spoken correctly about me like my servant Job. So Eliphaz the Temanite and Bildad the Shuhite and Zophar the Naamite went and did what Adonai told them, and Adonai accepted Job's prayer. So these friends, they got a strong rebuke from the Lord. And then after that, the Lord restored Job. He restored him. And I'm just going to read part of it, but in verse 12 it says, So Adonai blessed Job's latter day more than at his beginning. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He called the name of his first Jeremiah, and the name of his second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen Hepuch. Anyway, and then he lived a long time after that. He lived a long life. And I think the book of Job was put there for people with broken hearts. And some of the stuff I want to talk about on later ones, which happened to me, is I got saved and I started to look around at all these churches, and I'm not trying to put down the churches. I'm not. I don't want to speak ill of my brothers. I really don't. But the truth is, there's been things that have gone on in churches. It's written about in the book of Revelation. I want to get in there and read some of that. But I kept looking around and I'm like, I'm not seeing in churches what I think I should be seeing, or in Christians' lives. And I understand if someone's a brand new Christian, that it might take them time to learn, and but as far as people in the churches who are leaders of the churches, or supposedly mature Christian, a lot of them are dealing with things kind of badly, and I want to get into that. And this is just, like I said, I'm not a teacher. I'm not. I don't want you to look at me and think that I've got something other people. I mean, I have Jesus. That's all I have, and that's all you need. But I'm not anything great. These are just things that I've learned, and how I've felt about things that have happened to me. And this is probably going to end up to be more than one. It'll probably be 2 or 3 parts by the time we're done, because I started writing it out, and I'm like, this isn't going to be one, and I don't want to make them real long. But I love you guys, and if you have any things that you want to tell me about, or things you've been through, or please do. And just be blessed, and I believe the Lord's coming back soon.